Welcome to Dinner by the Minute. Here's how to cook simple, healthy, and frugal meals without losing your mind. Learn how to swap out ingredients you don't have, don't like, are allergic to, or simply find too expensive. You don't need specific ingredients, just a pinch of fun. On today's show, we're going to be making 3 Beerilicious recipes. We're going to be starting with a beef burger, followed by beer cheese soup, and we're going to end with the beer cheese dip. Our beer cheese burger has hamburger in it, bacon, maple syrup, which you'll kind of see this theme of the maple syrup and the cheese and the beer all going together. This is the perfect menu for any of your sporting events. When you have everyone coming over to watch your favorite games, go ahead and mix this up. You've got the beer going, you've got the beef going, and it's a truly Canadian menu. All right, so we're going to start making our beef burgers first because they're going to take the longest to cook. So we started with 1 pound of lean ground beef. You can use any kind of ground meat. It's so easy to switch it out with turkey, chicken, any kind of meat, pork if you have that. Or you could even make black bean veggie burgers. That would probably be really good with the maple syrup and the beer, of course, can't forget the beer. So what we have is we've got our meat here. We're going to add in, we're going to start with 1/4 cup of the beer. This is a dark ale, Canadian craft beer, local from Edmonton here. So we're going to pour that in. We don't want to go too heavy on it yet because we want to check the consistency to make sure it's not going to get too soft. Start mixing that up. And we actually have, this is milled oats. So our wonderful producer does have a machine to mill the oats. But if you're like me, you don't have one. Now all you need to do is actually put your oats into a blender and just whir them up until you might not get it as fine as this, but just so they're whirred up a little bit, not too big, so you don't really see them in the finished product. So this is about 3 tablespoons. We'll kind of add that a little bit slowly too, just so that we can get everything really incorporated easily. Now we also are going to be putting in some maple syrup and some black peppercorn. And if our mixture looks a little not quite thick enough, we're going to add an egg just so that everything sticks together while we're cooking it. So we can actually put in a bit more beer. We'll go ahead and we'll put in the maple syrup as well. And we're going to put in some peppercorn too. Now even this isn't even starting to cook and it's already starting to smell good because you can smell that maple syrup and that peppercorn as well. So it's a spicy and sweet mixture. It's actually looking really good. I think we can put in a bit more beer. Why not? More beer is always better, right? Oh yeah, there we go. And when we cook this, we're going to make sure that we cook it at a fairly low heat because that lovely maple syrup is going to burn if we're not careful. So you cook these just a little bit lower heat than what you normally would cook your burgers. So you could do these on the barbecue, at home in a pan, or you could even broil them in the oven. All right, that's looking pretty good now. We just have to shape these into patties and throw them on our pan. So today we're using 100% pure Canadian maple syrup from Quebec, of course, and we sourced it locally, so it's very easy to find in your local stores. But just keep in mind that pure maple syrup is completely different than corn syrup, than high fructose glucose syrup, and your regular Aunt Jemima style pancake syrups. Those are just sugar and they're artificially made, whereas this is 100% natural coming from our beautiful maple trees. So we really encourage you to use it. There are a lot of trace minerals in maple syrup as well that you don't normally get. So you don't want to go overboard, but you do want to get the best syrup that you can. Okay, so now we are ready to make our patties. We have our red cutting board that we use for our meats. And before you touch your meat with your hands, make sure you wash your hands really thoroughly, get under your nails and everything, wash all the way up past your wrists. This is going to help contain any kind of foodborne illnesses from happening and ensure that you have a really food-safe product that you're going to be serving to hopefully all your friends at your big football party. So to start with, we've have the meat mixture. It's still very cold. We didn't leave this out at all. So if you do have some time that you need to be away from the meat before you make it into patties and cook it, you need to make sure you put that in the refrigerator. It's something you just don't want to risk getting E. coli or something or other like that from. Oh, these are nice big burgers here. I think this is about 600 grams of meat. So it's a little bit more than a quarter pound per person. So give that up to the big burger companies. These are way better. We also have some bacon here that we're going to be using on the burgers, and we're going to warm that up just right kind of when our burgers are done. So this is pretty fast, just to form them with your hands. Some people do like to put the meat all out on a sheet and use like a Tupperware container or any kind of a round container like that, and you just cut them out just like cookies. So that would be a really nice way to make a whole bunch of burgers too. You could really get those formed really quickly. So here we go. These are looking dandy. I'm going to see if this little trick works. Just pressing in on the center of the burgers like that. And that's supposed to make it so that when they're done cooking, they're more flat and even instead of being kind of puffed up in the center. So let's just see if that works. Alrighty, here we go. We're going to go ahead and cook our meat now. I've got the burner on, just so it's warm already. It's about a medium heat. You're going to want to watch it really carefully as these burgers are cooking. So we're just going to start with 2 in our pan, so we don't have them, we don't want them overcrowded. Whew, that sounds good. Might be a little bit too hot. I'm just going to turn that down a bit. So when we are cooking these, like I said, we really do have to watch them. Just pay attention to the very bottom, because the sugar from the maple syrup is going to seep down and you can easily burn your burgers, and that's not going to be so good at all. So we want to make sure we cook these thoroughly at a low heat. I'm thinking they'll probably take about 10 to 15 minutes. If you're unsure, we'll show you at the end how to check to make sure that they're done, because you just don't want any undoneness. Unlike the Americans who do like their burgers very rare, we like ours safe and well cooked. All right, here we go. Second recipe of our Beeriliciousness show. We're going to be making a beer cheese soup, and we're going to start by sauteing a few vegetables. So we're just going to put about a tablespoon of oil. We're using coconut oil today, which is really good for high heat cooking. Swirl that around, and we're going to add some red onions, a little bit of garlic. That's been nicely chopped up. We also have some zucchini. And that looks pretty good. And we're going to add these little shredded carrots. And I just, all I did was used my vegetable peeler and just peeled these off and then chopped them up a bit. So they're really nice and a little bit more delicate looking. Okay, so we want to let this cook for, 3 or 4 minutes just to get everything quite nicely blended together. It'll also flavor the oil that the coconut oil that it's cooking in, and then that helps the taste go all throughout your broth. This one we can cook at a high heat, and we're not using maple syrup in this one, but we certainly are using cheese, and we're definitely using beer. Okay, we'll just let that sit for a minute. One of the ingredients that we're going to be using today is a lactose-free whipping cream. Now, I had never seen this product before. Our producer, Sarah, does the shopping for the show, and she's the one that found this. So this is really fantastic, a nice product for people, if you have had to maybe resort to artificial whipped creams and that kind of thing, can now have the real deal. One of the other products we're going to use today as well is the Better Than Bouillon. It's for chicken soup flavor. And this is a really popular one. It tastes really, really good. And it's not nearly as, I guess what you could say, bad for you as the traditional bouillon cubes. So if you're in the market to buy some new chicken bouillon, definitely try this one. All right, let's check this. You can smell, smell-o-vision, that's what we need. You can smell this, just all the different scents of the carrot, the lovely onions, and of course my favorite, the garlic. I love garlic. Probably not as much as our producer does, but I love garlic. All right, this is looking quite good now. So the thing we want to put in next is our beer. And when we put the beer in, we want to go ahead and let it cook off for a bit so that the alcohol actually kind of cooks out of the soup. So you're just left with the flavor, and you know, if you serve it to your kids, they're not going to be passing out at the dinner table. Probably a good parenting tip right there. So this one, we just need about 6 ounces. I think I put in a little more than that, which I think is all right. Want to get that going. We're going to turn that right up to high. All right, here's our delicious bubbly soup. It's all nice and steamy. I think most of that alcohol is cooked off by now, so we're going to continue with the recipe. So now we are going to add the green onion. Don't need a lot in there because we do have those red onions in as well. And then we will put in our Better Than Bouillon. I'm going to use about a teaspoon of the Better Than Bouillon, and I'm going to use a cup of water. And that's as per the directions on the jar. And there's my water. Just dump that in. So now we're going to add our whipping cream and the cheese. So we want to have a little bit of a thickener in this. This is cornstarch, and you could use potato starch or tapioca starch instead. There's no problem with that. One other thing that you could do is mix it with mix this with some water before you add it. But what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to add it right to the cheese, mix it in the cheese just a little bit, and then it's going to melt and thicken as well at the same time. So you can kind of miss that last step of having to add this at the end. So let's go ahead and we'll put our cream in first. And just the hot base, the hot broth is going to melt our cheese. We want to make sure we don't cook the cheese too much, or it kind of loses a lot of the creaminess. Oh, that looks lovely in the pot. Lots of pretty colors from those veggies too. All right. So now we're going ahead and just add this in. I guess if we had a bigger bowl, it would be a bit easier to mix, but this is fine. Cornstarch dissolves very easily in other liquids, and especially when it's coated on something like this, it just dissolves really, really well. Dump that in. Okay, now this is just going to take a few minutes to get thick, for that cheese to melt, and it'll be ready to serve just like that. So this is a really fast, really easy soup. And this is a really nice way to start your meal or your party, or just have it to the side in a slow cooker so it stays warm and people can just serve themselves throughout your event. We'd like to thank Town Square Brewery for being a part of our show today. Take a look at how a leading Alberta craft beer is made.
Brewing starts with 4 basic ingredients: malt, hops, yeast, and water. The beginning of the brewing process starts with milling in your grains. So you want to crack the grains to get out the starches and sugars from inside them. From there, you're going to push it into a vessel called a mash tun. The mash tun is going to steep the grains at high temperatures to pull all the sugar out, and that becomes a sugar water. Yeast loves to eat sugar, so that's why we need to pull it from the grains to create alcohol. From there, we're going to take that sugar water that we've created and push it over to a kettle where the water is going to boil for roughly an hour, a little bit more. And that's at the point where we're going to add our hops. The hops are going to give it bittering and flavor to counteract the sweetness of the water. Different types of beer that we've made so far here, about 16 different styles. That to say, the amount of beers that we could potentially make is almost limitless. I mean, new styles are coming up every day. There's ancient styles that we could create. It's all a matter of creativity. So, you know, hopefully by the end of next year, we'll have many more than we do now.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make our third and final recipe of our Beerilicious episode here. And so what we're going to do is be making a beer cheese dip. So we have two kinds of cheese. You can use as many kinds of cheese as you want. You could just stick with one. Today we are using herb and spice Havarti, and we're also using some cheddar. And for our burgers, we're using Swiss cheese. So I just want to point out that we did make sure that we found real Canadian cheese. It's very easy to identify by the Canadian 100% symbol on the packaging. And this just kind of goes along, continue with our theme of our beer, cheese, bacon episode. Everything Canadian. So this would be a great one to have, again, with your party. You can serve it with chips. You could serve it with any kind of veggies. You know, it's kind of the sky's the limit. Whatever it is that you guys like, go for it and serve that. So really all we need to do is dump everything into the bowl. Our two kinds of cheese. We have some maple syrup, of course, our delicious Canadian maple syrup. We have our garlic, because what is food without garlic? And we have dry mustard powder, or you could use Dijon mustard or just a yellow mustard, whatever kind of mustard is really to your taste buds. Dump that in. And then here's the kicker, is we have a little bit of liquid smoke. So that's really going to bring out a lot of the flavors and make it a deeper, more robust kind of a dip. Get that in, and we need some spice, variety, or Tabasco, it's up to you. We're gonna put in about a teaspoon. That should be pretty spicy, and you just adjust it to your taste. You could use cayenne powder if you have that instead. We're going to put a little bit of dill in, and dill is really just another thing that is a different kind of a flavor profile. So it's just going to add a real sort of a freshness to the dip because it's kind of heavy with the cheese and so on. We'll just put in a couple of pinches of that. And here we have the best part of the dip, the beer. This is a medium Scottish ale, locally sourced from Town Square Brewery. And we're putting in 12 ounces, so that's one bottle of beer. And this is going to be the whole base of our dip now. Just like we have a base for our soup, we have a base for the dip. So we're just going to go ahead and pour that in. Okay, so now all we have to do is mix it up. So we're going to use our lovely KitchenAid for that. But if you don't have a KitchenAid, you could easily use a blender at home. Get that going a little bit, and now here we go. All right, our mix is all blended up. So we're just going to take it out, have a peek at it. It looks a little gooey, I guess you could call it. A little liquidy at this point. Oop, there we go. As you can see, it's kind of runny. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into an oven-safe dish, and we're going to very gently warm this so it slowly melts and comes together. Now, when I did this recipe at home, I used a Ninja blender, and that one gets super fast. So my mixture actually came out a bit thicker than this because it just really chopped that cheese up really, really fine. But this is going to work just fantastic, and this way we get a nice warm dip as well. That looks pretty good already, but it's going to look even better. Alrighty, now we're done all our cooking, which was so easy this time too, right? Just quick beer soup, quick dip, and these burgers were just very simple to put together. Now we're going to go ahead and get everything ready to serve. So we'll start with the burger. We just have a nice multi-grain burger bun. Of course, you can use any kind of bun you want, but it's nice to have a little bit of the whole grains that come in this burger. Start out with a little bit of mayo on here. And we have all our fixings right in front of us. So we will put our cheese down, put the burger on top of that. Oops. And this is delicious Canadian Swiss cheese. And then choose this burger, and you can see where it was indented a little bit where we pushed it down before we cooked it, and so it's still indented just a bit, which is better than it kind of puffing up and having that almost egg-shaped burger. Alrighty, let's put on some, actually we should put some lettuce on the bottom here. There we go, and then a little bit of red onion. Oh goodness, this looks good. It's like a towering burger. Put our bun on top. Can I eat this even? It looks great. Those are awesome, beautiful looking burgers. And we have our beautiful dip here already. It's all ready to go. And we're serving it today with some vegetables. We have carrots and zucchini, and we have a little bit of multigrain bread, and then a few chips to go along with that. So you can serve it with pretty much anything. The sky is the limit. It's whatever your tastes are, and kind of whatever your crowd is going to be hungry for as well. Oh, we forgot the bacon. We got to put the bacon on the burger. How are we going to do that? Try it like this. All right. And this is applewood bacon. So it has a bit of like a sweetness to it. So that really combines nicely with our beer and maple syrup that we have in the burger as well. All right, squish it down a bit. I feel like I need one of those great big toothpicks to hold it together. Looks great. Okay, so our dip is ready, and now we'll just move on to our soup. So this is really nice and thick. The vegetables in it look just lovely. I'll get a better shot of that for you. And the color of the soup itself, it's just beautiful. So you can see some of the carrot and the zucchini in it, and then just a beautiful creamy sauce. It's just beautiful. And for our garnish for this, we're going to put on some green onions, and of course some bacon. And this is the applewood bacon, and it's just cooked to until it's crispy, crumbled up. Maybe a little bit more of onion. There we go. Have a look at that as well. Absolutely gorgeous. And of course, with everything being served together, your guests could dip the bread into the soup as well while they're eating it, and it'll just be a really nice, beautiful buffet. Quick and easy, and a lot of fun, and beerlicious. Hope you enjoy. For more information on today's craft beer and more, check out the Alberta Small Brewers Association. And thank you again to Town Square Brewing for participating in our show and educating us on some great Alberta-made craft beer. To find out more about Town Square Brewing, check them out at the info below. Thank you to Kelly Wolford and Raw Rental House for the production equipment, Russell Hendricks Food Service for providing our lovely cookware and plateware, and Lalitha Taylor with the Council for Dietitians of Canada. Bon appetit, and thank you for watching Dinner by the Minute. This production supports Spider Mabel the film. Find out more about this at the link below.